Greetings, and welcome to this old grognard. The right to personal property, the right to self-governance, the right to pack heat. No, we're not talking about the USA. We're talking about the USA's science fiction Cold War era metaphor, House Davion, also known as the Federated Sons. And in particular, the House Davion Cavalry Lance by Catalyst Games. This is a 4-mech pack. I got it at my local game store, Geeky Tees and Games in Burbank, California. I'll leave a link in the description below. $34.99. It was like $37 after taxes and all. You know, for less than $40, I got an entire unit that I could use with the record sheets, and I could go online and I could get the basic rules for free and the record sheets for the classic game. All that's at battletech.com/downloads. And I'd be ready to go. And that's one of the things that I really like about Battletech. Unlike some other science fiction games that shall be nameless, Battletech's a little bit older, and it also is a better value for you. You're not going to have to worry about getting a new rule book in 18 months. Pontification over. With that being said, let's take a look at what we got here. By Freedom's Sword, well, that's exciting. Fast moving with potent armor and firepower, the mechs chosen for a cavalry lance are some of the most flexible on any battlefield. That's good to know. These mechs give a decisive advantage to a commander who is willing to deploy them when the time is right. One of the ways of getting a decisive advantage in general is to, deploy your assets properly. Not the point. Unleash the House Davion Cavalry Lance! Exclamation point. Includes the Hellspawn, the Legionnaire, the Gunsmith, and the new Federated Sons variant of the Enforcer. No assembly required, along with 4 Mech Warrior pilot cards and 4 alphastrike cards. Perfect for Battletech and alphastrike action. So, you get 4 high quality, fully assembled, unpainted miniatures. You get the 4 Mech Warrior cards, you get the 4 alphastrike cards. So the alphastrike cards are the record sheet for the mech. The Mech Warrior cards are useful in both classic Battletech and alphastrike. They give you a personality and a name for the pilot. You have a normal and an elite/veteran version of both the mech and the pilot. You flip the card over. Congratulations, you leveled up. Again, if you want to play classic Battletech, the Scantron style fill-in-the-blank bubbles, you can go get that at battletech.com/download, along with the basic rules for both games, because Catalyst doesn't want to rob you blind. They want you to play their game. So what do we get here with this shiny reflective box in the sunshine? Well, you're going to get the cards. So we have the first pilot card, the second pilot card, there's the mechs. We'll just lay these boys out, third and fourth. And to be fair, we'll use their lower level versions. I actually like the low level version ones better. Like the paint jobs, they feel more like the Robotech style original Battletech/Battle Droids paint jobs. And here we go. There's that Cold War metaphor, red, white, and blue. So the mechs in this lance are pretty light. As the name implies, they're cavalry. You get in, you get out fast. You hit hard when you can. Points-wise, you are looking at... So the 39 points is the heaviest ones on here. Boom. And then 27, and again, that's for the base model. Yeah, 36, same thing for the variant behind it. So that's that. Now, let's look at the mechs themselves. Alright, we'll start with the gunsmith. Again, Catalyst games, you know, these are actually pretty decent sculpts. Once you get them painted, especially if you take the time to do the panel highlighting, you get some really, really cool mech results. Nice, strong material. You know, it's got a little bit of a bend to it, which is fine because, you know, part of what's cool about Battletech is you can bring it out and bust it out to your friends and explain it to them pretty quick and play a truncated version of the game with some beer and some pretzels. And, you know, if a mech happens to get knocked 50 feet off the table in some kind of horrible beer accident, I don't know what your friends are like, but, you know, I stopped drinking, so I don't know. But anyway, point is, these buddies hold up. They do take paint really well once you prime them. I did notice that with the Army Paint or Speed Paint and Color Primer combo, I was getting some really shiny results. I'm going to use the Abaddon Black or whatever it is, James Workshop primer, and throw some Army Painter over that and see what I get. So, yeah, you know, Hellspawn. Yeah, pretty cool. Lots of detail on these. If you're new to painting or you're just getting back into this, this kind of stuff is perfect, man. They're relatively cheap as far as mainline, you know, big company mechs go, or miniatures go, rather. Lots of flat paneling. These also take speed paints really well. Like, you do a Zenithal Prime and you speed paint over this in a color, you'll get most of that panel edging. And if you're familiar with Gunpla or anything similar, you know, instead of having to fill in all the little lines, you only have to fill in the ones that the speed paints and the washes miss, which is pretty cool, especially if you're going to decide and do, I'll put it on the card, a ton of miniatures, which I'm about to do. I've already done who I'm calling the Swamp Rats. That's that Innersphere Command Lance that I did in a camo. These guys and the guys from the alphastrike box set, which I'll be opening next. Like and subscribe. Stay tuned for that. These guys and the guys from there are going to be a more urban-centered unit, so they'll be in a more traditional OD green, because I just like that color. And like I've asked before in the comments below, if you could paint your mech only one color, what color would it be? Mine's OD green. And yeah, so I don't know. I mean, again, great detailing on this. You know, certain other companies try and justify, like, this would be a single person for some other companies for the same cost. This wouldn't even buy you a fraction of a unit from some other companies. And don't even get me started on the box sets. Anyway, yeah, so there's our Enforcer with lovely Nicole Ramsey as her pilot. So technically, yeah, these don't need assembling, but this hole here is because our final mech, the Legionnaire, has a couple of different weapon options. And you basically just take it and pop it in there, and you're done. Alright? And as long as you don't goop it up with paint too bad, you can keep it like that, and as long as you don't lose them, you switch those out. So when I paint this, I'll be painting the two gun options separately, and then, you know, I'm going to try and keep these boxes together as long as I can, because this little plastic that they hold them in is great for storing them on your shelves. And it fits right into the mech. Or the mech fits right in, rather. Anyway, That being said, just another example of Catalyst Games caring about you, right? I mean, I really do. I riz these guys up. They do not pay me. I've been playing Battletech since, well, since before this century had even started. And I've always felt that the game itself was a great entry point for people. I mean, it's stompy robots. The rules are, I would say, elegant in how little you actually have to keep track of and understand. And the fact that they've managed to keep the same rule set for, I don't know, almost 40 years, while some other people have to do it they have to change it entirely every 36 months, that says something. Again, really nice detail on these. Really easy to paint. They look really cool when you lay them on the table. You base them. You give them a little bit of context by using some basing material for the region or environment that they're in. You, a really good time with these guys. And we'll leave it there. That's the whole point, isn't it? Have fun gaming. Not chasing metas, not, worrying about whether or not you've got the latest and greatest thing. Just the thing that works for you. This has been this old Grognard, wishing you a productive day.